The sky above Earth was filled with streaks of light, like 1,000 shooting stars falling at once. But these were no ordinary meteors. They were massive, glowing metal objects hurtling toward the planet, carrying with them a force that would change everything. In a small town, on the edge of a busy city, Liam stood outside looking up at the sky. He watched in awe as the objects grew larger and fear began to set in. He was not alone. People around him stopped what they were doing and stared up, some shouting, others running for cover. The realization struck them all at once. This was no ordinary meteor shower. Something from beyond Earth was coming. Within moments, the first metal object broke through the atmosphere and crashed into the ground with a deafening roar. A shockwave blasted across the land, knocking people off their feet and sending dust into the air. The ground shook like it had never shaken before. Liam stumbled and caught himself against a nearby fence, heart racing. He knew something terrible was happening. Then, from the wreckage of the metal object, something massive rose. It was enormous, its shape resembling the legends of dragons, but it was made entirely of metal. Its scales gleamed like polished steel, and its eyes glowed red, scanning the area with an eerie focus. The dragon's massive wings unfurled, and the ground trembled beneath its power. "Is that?" Liam whispered, too stunned to speak. People around him gasped, their faces a mix of fear and disbelief. The dragon's enormous head turned slowly toward the city. Without hesitation, it opened its mouth, and a brilliant beam of energy shot out, ripping through the streets like a hot knife through butter. Buildings crumbled instantly, and cars were thrown like toys. The dragon's roar echoed across the city as it began its destructive path. The military was quick to respond. Helicopters and fighter jets swarmed into the sky, their engines roaring as they launched missiles at the massive creature. But the dragon simply flapped its wings, sending out shockwaves that knocked the jets out of the air like they were nothing. The missiles bounced harmlessly off its metallic hide, leaving not even a scratch back in the small town. Liam ran with the others, trying to find shelter. He knew that no one could fight this beast. It was too powerful. And as he looked over his shoulder, the dragon continued to destroy everything in its path, reducing the city to rubble. But something strange happened. As the dragon stomped through the streets, its massive claws sank into the earth. Instead of simply crushing everything beneath it, the dragon's claws seemed to dig. The massive beast was digging into the ground, moving the dirt around as though it were searching for something. Liam slowed his pace and watched in confusion. What was it doing? The dragon had come to destroy Earth, hadn't it? It was supposed to be an unstoppable weapon of war. Instead, it seemed more curious than violent. The dragon's movements were slow and deliberate as it uncovered more and more of the soil. It extended its long, sharp claws, gently brushing aside the dirt as though it were gardening, not attacking. For a moment, it looked like it was planting something, not destroying. Liam blinked, wondering if he was seeing things. Machine of war suddenly act like this? The dragon paused, turning its head toward the sky, its red eyes scanning the horizon. It let out a low growl, and for a moment, the destruction stopped. The roar of the dragon was replaced by a strange silence. For a brief moment, it seemed like the metal dragon had become something else entirely. Its body began to hum with a strange energy, and as Liam watched, the ground around the dragon started to change. Tiny sprouts began to emerge from the soil, their green tips breaking through the dirt like new life. It was growing where none had been before. The dragon didn't attack anymore. Instead, it seemed to be nurturing the earth, guiding the plants to grow faster. A small garden of flowers, bushes, and trees formed where the dragon had dug. The air smelled fresh, like rain after a long drought. Liam stood there, frozen, unsure of what to make of it. The dragon, this unstoppable weapon, was planting a garden. "Is this real?" he asked aloud, barely able to believe what he was seeing. The destruction that had been so fierce just moments ago was now replaced with peaceful growth. Dragon's claws continued to stir the soil, and the once barren land seemed to come alive in the distance. More military forces were on the move, but they were too far away to stop the dragon. It didn't matter, though. The dragon wasn't attacking anymore. Instead, it was creating life, not taking it. Liam's mind raced. Could this really be the same dragon that had destroyed everything just moments ago? Was it malfunctioning? Was there something deeper at play here? As the dragon continued its strange work, more people began to emerge from their hiding places. Staring in disbelief at the metal creature, some were scared, unsure if this was a trick. Others, like Liam, were fascinated by what they were seeing. A war machine that had come to end Earth was now planting a garden, and as the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the newly formed garden. One thing became clear. Earth was no longer in the hands of the alien empire. It was in the hands of a dragon that seemed to love gardening. The world had changed in a way no one could have predicted. The news spread like wildfire. The dragon, once an unstoppable force of destruction, had turned into something no one could have predicted. People from every corner of the world watched in awe and disbelief as the metal beast which had come to destroy their world now seemed to be protecting it. In the days that followed, the dragon continued its strange transformation, didn't attack or destroy. Instead, it carefully tended to the earth, its large metal claws now more like gardening tools than weapons. The ground it touched began to flourish with plant life. Where there had been nothing but barren earth, fields of flowers, trees, and vines suddenly appeared. It was as if the dragon was bringing the land back to life. Liam, the man who had witnessed the dragon's first strange actions, returned to the site of the dragon's arrival. He was not alone this time. People had gathered, their eyes fixed on the beast, still towering above them. It wasn't just the scientists or soldiers who were watching now. Ordinary people had come, hoping to understand what was happening. Liam stood in the crowd, staring at the dragon as it worked. The massive creature moved gracefully, despite its size, using its claws to dig into the soil. It didn't seem to care about the people watching from a distance. It was focused on something else, something deeper than just survival or destruction. It was focused on life. I don't get it, Liam murmured to himself. This thing was built to destroy, but now it's fixing everything. Nearby, a group of scientists were discussing the dragon's strange behavior. Dr. Emma Collins, lead researcher from a nearby university, was speaking with Lieutenant Jacob Reese, a military officer who had been sent to monitor the dragon. Both were equally puzzled. "Do you think it's still a weapon?" Dr. Collins asked, her voice filled with concern. "Or has it changed?" Jacob glanced at the dragon, which was now planting a row of trees with surprising care. "It doesn't look like it's going to destroy anything," he said. "But we still can't trust it completely. That thing can tear apart a city. In seconds, it might still have a deadly purpose we don't understand." Dr. Collins frowned. "I don't know. It's like the dragon has become more than just a machine. It's almost alive in a way." The dragon seemed to hear their conversation, its glowing eyes momentarily shifting toward them. For a brief second, both the scientist and the soldier felt an odd connection to the creature, as though it was aware of their presence and thoughts. But it didn't stop its gardening. Instead, it continued to plant seeds in the soil, as if determined to turn the earth into something beautiful. Meanwhile, the world watched the strange turn of events unfold. News stations reported on the dragon's actions, but no one had answers. The alien empire, who had sent the dragon to destroy Earth, was silent. They had not made a move since their weapon had landed. The world's governments waited, uncertain of what to do next. In some areas, people began to celebrate. The dragon's actions were a miracle. Farmers and gardeners watched in amazement as the dragon's gardens grew, lush and vibrant, across lands that had once been barren. Crops began to thrive in places where they hadn't been able to grow for years. Desert regions saw water begin to collect in the soil, bringing life to long-dead lands. Liam could not help but be amazed at the changes he saw. It wasn't just that the dragon was growing plants, it was healing the earth. He could see it with his own eyes. Where there had been no hope, the dragon had brought hope. He knew that something incredible had happened, but the question remained, why? "What's your name?" the child asked Liam, breaking him out of his thoughts. The young girl was standing beside him, her eyes wide with wonder as she watched the dragon. "Liam," he said, smiling at her. "I'm not sure what's going on, but it's incredible, isn't it?" The girl nodded, her gaze never leaving the dragon. "It's like the dragon isn't bad anymore. It's making everything better." Liam nodded. "Doing more than we ever expected. Maybe it's trying to fix what it broke." As the days passed, the dragon continued to care for the earth. People came from all over the world to see it, to witness this strange creature that had once been a symbol of fear, now becoming a symbol of life. The world began to change in ways that no one could have predicted. The United Nations held an emergency meeting, unsure how to handle the situation. The dragon had stopped attacking, but the alien empire had not yet responded. Was it possible that the dragon's transformation had affected their plans? Did the alien empire even know what was happening? But while world leaders debated what to do next, the dragon kept working. Its massive form was a constant presence, and its gardens kept growing, spreading across the earth like a living blanket. The dragon's bond with the planet seemed to deepen with every passing day. Dr. Collins and Lieutenant Reese stood together again, watching as the dragon worked. The scientist was silent for a moment before speaking. "We need to learn more about it," she said. "What changed? Why did it stop attacking?" Jacob turned to her, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I think it's more than just a malfunction. I think the dragon's found something. Maybe it's realized that destruction doesn't lead to anything good. Maybe it's, become more... I don't know if that's possible," Dr. Collins said, shaking her head. "But I do know this. Whatever it's doing, it's changing the world. And maybe, just maybe, it's showing us something we need to learn." As the sun began to set, casting a golden light across the dragons, Garden Liam looked up at the creature, feeling a strange sense of peace. The world had been saved, but not by violence or war. It had been saved by a creature that had come to destroy, but had instead found a new purpose. And as the dragon continued to work, planting more and more life into the earth, the world began to understand one thing. Sometimes, even the most terrifying force in the universe could change. And in the process, it could bring about a new beginning for all. As the days turned into weeks, the world had begun to adjust to the strange new reality. The metal dragon, which had arrived with the intent to destroy, had become a symbol of peace. Earth's landscape, once ravaged by wars and environmental damage, was now being transformed into lush gardens. Crops grew where deserts had once ruled, and life blossomed where it had been absent for years. However, this peace did not sit well with everyone. The alien empire that had sent the dragon to Earth watched from the shadows, furious and confused. They had sent a weapon designed to conquer and destroy, not to plant flowers and grow trees. They had underestimated the dragon's capacity to change, and now they were faced with a situation they hadn't expected, in the command center of the alien fleet. General Exer, a tall and imposing figure with glowing blue eyes, paced angrily in front of a large screen. His sharp features were twisted in frustration as he watched the reports from his soldiers. The dragon was no longer following its original mission, and that was a problem. A big one. It should have destroyed them all, General Exer growled, slamming his fist on the console. "We created it to bring devastation, to crush this planet. Why is it planting gardens instead?" A second in command, Commander Lyra, stood silently by his side. She had been with him through countless campaigns, and her mind was sharp, always calculating the best course of action. "General, the dragon was designed to be a weapon of mass destruction," she said, her voice calm but tense. "But something has happened to it. Perhaps it has adapted, or maybe it's malfunctioning. We can't be certain." "I don't care about malfunctions." Exer spat, his voice filled with rage. "That creature has turned against us. Defying orders, it's making this planet stronger, not weaker. We cannot allow this to continue." Lyra nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "We must act quickly. The longer the dragon remains on Earth, the harder it will be to eliminate it. And if it keeps turning the planet into this, paradise. It may unite the humans. We cannot let that happen. Xer's eyes glowed brighter with anger. Prepare the fleet. We'll send everything we have to Earth. The dragon's existence is a threat, and it must be destroyed. Back on Earth, the humans who had watched the dragon transform into a peaceful force now found themselves facing a new challenge. While the dragon had continued to care for the planet, something felt different in the air. The peace that had been established was about to be tested, Liam. The man who had first witnessed the dragon's unusual behavior was back at the garden site. He had come to check on the dragon, his mind still spinning from the events of the past few weeks. I'd seen the dragon grow life from the soil, but today, the air felt tense. People had begun to notice strange ships in the sky, far off in the distance. Ships that weren't human. Liam met Dr. Emma Collins and Lieutenant Jacob Reese at the edge of the garden. They were all standing on a small hill, looking up at the sky, as the dark shapes of alien ships appeared overhead. "It's them," Jacob said quietly, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon. "The alien empire, they finally decided to come back." Dr. Collins glanced nervously at the approaching ships. "We need to communicate with the dragon," she said urgently. "If it can hear us, we have to make it understand that this battle isn't necessary." "I don't think it will listen," Jacob replied, shaking his head. "The alien empire won't stop until they've destroyed the dragon. We need to be ready for anything." Liam felt a sense of dread wash over him. The dragon had changed, but would it be enough to protect them from the empire? The peace it had created seemed fragile now, as if it could shatter with a single blow. The ground beneath their feet rumbled, and a loud roar filled the air. The dragon, sensing the alien ships above, stood tall in the middle of its garden. Its massive wings spread wide, its metal body gleaming in the sunlight. It looked almost regal, as if it had become more than just a machine. It had become a protector, and now it was ready to defend its new home, Liam. Dr. Collins and Jacob watched in awe as the dragon raised its head to the sky, its eyes glowing a deep, fiery red. It was a signal. The dragon was ready to fight. The alien ships descended, their sleek forms cutting through the atmosphere like deadly predators. They moved in perfect formation, each ship a weapon of destruction in its own right. They were here to finish what they had started. Lyra's voice crackled over the communication channel, her calm tone at odds with the fury of her orders. "Target the dragon. It must be eliminated at all costs." The alien fleet opened fire, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts toward the dragon. But the dragon didn't retreat, it stood firm, its claws digging into the earth as it spread its wings wide. The energy blasts collided with the dragon's metallic body, causing explosions that lit up the sky. The dragon didn't fall. Instead, it seemed to absorb the energy, its body glowing with a strange light. The ground trembled as the dragon's massive tail swung through the air, knocking away a few of the smaller alien ships. Let out a roar that shook the very air, a sound of defiance. The dragon wasn't just fighting to protect itself. It was fighting for Earth. Liam watched the battle unfold, his heart racing. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. The dragon, a creature built for destruction, was now fighting to protect the planet that had once been its target. It was fighting for him, for everyone. The dragon had chosen this world, Dr. Collins turned to Jacob, her voice filled with urgency. "We have to stop them before it gets worse. If they destroy the dragon, everything we've built will be lost." Jacob nodded. "We'll do what we can. But it's up to the dragon now." As the battle raged on above them, the dragon continued to defend Earth, its strange transformation into a guardian of life proving to be its most powerful weapon yet. The alien empire had underestimated the dragon, and now they were facing the consequences. The battle for Earth had only just begun. The air was thick with tension. The alien fleet was still high above the Earth, hovering like dark clouds ready to unleash a storm. The dragon had shown its power, standing strong against the alien attacks, but the battle was far from over. Military forces on Earth were doing their best to prepare for an inevitable conflict. But they knew one thing for sure: the dragon was humanity's last hope. Liam stood with Dr. Emma Collins and Lieutenant Jacob Reese in a makeshift command center. It was an old warehouse, converted into a military operations hub, and filled with scientists, soldiers, and leaders who had come together to make decisions that would change the future of Earth. Outside, the dragon continued to defend the planet, its massive form moving like a living fortress. Do we attack, or do we trust it? Jacob's voice was filled with frustration as he paced the room. The military had always been about action, about taking control. But now, with the dragon acting as a protector, the question was no longer about defeating an enemy, it was about understanding the dragon and what it had become. Dr. Collins, who had spent every waking moment studying the dragon since its arrival, sat at a table, reviewing the data. Brow was furrowed in concentration. She had been with the dragon from the beginning, witnessing its strange transformation from a weapon of destruction to a guardian of life, and yet she still couldn't explain it. I've been studying everything we know about the dragon, Dr. Collins said quietly, not looking up from her notes. There's something about it that's more than just a machine. It's almost ... alive in a way. Maybe it was never meant to destroy at all. Maybe it was meant to protect, but something triggered a change. Liam listened carefully, thinking about what she said. His thoughts wandered back to the day the dragon had first arrived, remembered how it had been set on destroying everything in its path, and how it had suddenly stopped, its claws sinking into the earth like it was planting seeds instead of bombs. He remembered how, over the days that followed, the dragon had turned barren land into beautiful gardens. The dragon had grown something humans had lost hope. But the alien fleet isn't going to stop, Jacob said, his voice grim. If they see the dragon as a threat, they'll keep coming until it's destroyed, and we'll be caught in the middle. Dr. Collins looked up, her eyes filled with concern. That's why we need to act now. We can't wait for the alien empire to decide our fate. If the dragon is willing to protect us, we need to find a way to make it understand that we trust it. We need to show it that we are not enemies. Liam felt a deep sense of unease. The dragon had saved them, but could they really trust it? Could they trust a creature that had been sent to destroy them? He didn't know the answer. But he knew one thing for sure. Humanity needed to make a decision. As the minutes ticked by, the sound of the dragon's massive wings filled the air. It was like a pulse, a heartbeat that resonated deep in the earth, telling them that the dragon was not backing down. The alien ships continued to hover above, their weapons ready to strike. Liam turned to Dr. Collins. How do we reach the dragon? Can we communicate with it? She sighed and rubbed her temples. I don't know. We've tried sending signals, but it hasn't responded the way we expected. The dragon seems to understand us in a way, but it doesn't communicate like any machine I've ever studied. It's not just a weapon anymore, it's something else. Then we need to find a way to reach it. We have to show the dragon that we're on its side. We don't have the luxury of time. Dr. Collins nodded slowly. We need to connect with it on a deeper level. It's not just a weapon, and it's not just a guardian. It's something that has the potential to change everything. We need to find that connection. Outside, the dragon let out a roar, its sound carrying across the land like a battle cry. It was more than just a defense. It was a statement. Dragon wasn't just fighting to survive. It was fighting for Earth, for life. Liam turned and walked toward the door, his heart heavy. He knew they had to make a choice. The fate of Earth lay in their hands, but how could they make the right decision when they didn't even know what the right decision was? As he stepped outside, the dragon was there, standing tall against the sky. Its massive form loomed over the landscape, its wings spread wide as it looked up at the alien ships. It was almost as if the dragon was waiting for them to make a move, waiting for humanity to choose its side. Liam felt a strange pull as he approached the dragon. It was as if the creature was calling to him, asking him to understand. He reached out a hand, not sure what he was doing, but compelled to do it all the same. To his surprise, the dragon's massive head lowered toward him, its eyes glowing softly. It was as if the dragon was acknowledging him, recognizing him as something more than just a human. He took a deep breath. We trust you, he whispered, his voice shaking. Please, protect us. The dragon's eyes seemed to glow brighter for a moment, and Liam felt a warmth radiating from its body. It was like the earth itself had come alive, wrapping him in a sense of peace he couldn't explain. The dragon wasn't just a machine anymore, it was a force of nature. A guardian of Earth. The alien fleet above, however, was not as understanding. They had been waiting for the final blow, and they were not about to back down. The ships moved into position, preparing for the attack. It was now or never. Liam stepped back, looking at the dragon one last time. Could only hope that the choice they had made was the right one. The sky was dark with the shadows of the alien fleet. Their ships hovered above Earth, weapons ready to strike. Below, the dragon stood, its massive form now almost like a part of the Earth itself. It had become a guardian, a protector, but this piece, this fragile balance, was about to be tested in a way no one could have predicted. Liam, Dr. Collins, and Lieutenant Jacob Reese stood in the middle of the battlefield, staring up at the alien ships that loomed overhead. Stood in the distance, its glowing eyes locked on the enemy forces. It had made its choice, it was fighting for Earth. But the question remained, could it win? They won't back down, Jacob said quietly, his eyes narrowed as he watched the ships. The alien empire won't stop until the dragon is gone. We have to believe the dragon can protect us, Dr. Collins said, her voice firm but filled with concern. She had studied the dragon, understood its strange transformation, and yet she knew that no matter how much they trusted it, the alien fleet was far more advanced. It had weapons designed to destroy worlds, and the dragon, as powerful as it was, might not be enough. The dragon let out a roar, its voice echoing across the battlefield. The sound was like thunder, a signal to the alien forces that it was ready. To fight, flapped its wings, sending gusts of wind across the landscape, and its massive tail swayed like a giant weapon, ready to strike. Liam watched as the dragon stood tall, its body gleaming in the dim light. It was more than just a machine now. It was a living, breathing force of nature, and it was ready to protect the Earth from the invasion it had never asked for. Then, the alien fleet opened fire. A series of bright, glowing energy blasts erupted. From the ships above, each one powerful enough to wipe out entire cities. The dragon's wings beat fiercely, sending a shock wave through the ground as it leaped into action. It moved quickly, its large form surprisingly agile as it dodged the first few blasts. The dragon's metal body glowed as it absorbed the energy from the attacks, its mechanical skin shimmering like molten steel. Liam's heart pounded in his chest as he watched the battle unfold. He knew the dragon wasn't invincible. The blasts from the alien ships were powerful, and the dragon could only take so much. But there was something else at play here. The dragon wasn't just fighting with its strength. It was fighting with purpose. The alien ships continued to fire, but the dragon retaliated with power of its own. It raised its massive claws, striking the ground. The earth beneath the alien ships cracked open, and huge vines erupted from the soil, wrapping around the ships and pulling them toward the ground. The alien fleet struggled against the sudden attack, but it was clear that the dragon's bond with the earth had given it an advantage. The air was filled with the sound of clashing forces, metal scraping against metal, the roar of the dragon and the hum of alien weapons charging. The battle was fierce, but the dragon held its ground, determined to protect the planet it had come to love. As the fight continued, Dr. Collins and Jacob watched in silence, unsure of what to do next. They could only wait and hope that the dragon would prevail. "We have to stop this," Dr. Collins said, her voice tense. "If we don't, we'll lose everything. The dragon is strong, but it can't fight forever." Jacob nodded. "We need to find a way to end this. Fast." Just then, a new wave of alien ships appeared from the horizon, their weapons primed for another attack. The first wave had been met with resistance, but now there were more ships. They were closing in fast. "We don't have much time," Jacob said, his voice urgent. "We need to move now. We need to do everything we can to help the dragon." Liam didn't hesitate. "What do we do?" Dr. Collins looked to the dragon, then back at the alien fleet. There must be something we can do. We can't just sit back and wait for the dragon to fight alone. You have to make sure the dragon knows we're here to help. Jacob thought for a moment, then nodded. I'll rally the military. We'll give the dragon all the support we can. If we can take down their shields, maybe the dragon can destroy them once and for all. Liam turned to Dr. Collins. Do you think the dragon will understand? Dr. Collins met his gaze. It's not about understanding. It's about showing the dragon that we're on its side. Trust it, and it has to know that. We can't. Let the alien fleet destroy what the dragon has created. The dragon let out another powerful roar, and the ground shook as its massive wings flapped again. It was ready to fight. Liam watched as the dragon used its power to grow massive trees and vines that shielded the earth from the alien weapons. The dragon was turning the landscape into a fortress, one root at a time. It was no longer just a machine. It had become a symbol of life, of nature's strength. It was showing the alien empire that no matter how powerful they were, they would never have control over Earth as long as the dragon was there. The alien ships launched another wave of attacks. But this time, the dragon was ready. It summoned roots and vines that wrapped around the alien ships, pulling them down toward the ground. Explosions rang out as the ships were crushed. Beneath the weight of the Earth itself, the battle was turning in the dragon's favor. The alien fleet had underestimated the power of nature, and now they were paying the price. Dr. Collins. Colin Liam watched from the distance as the dragon continued to fight. It was more than just defending, it was winning. The dragon had become Earth's protector, and in doing so, it had shown the world something incredible. Even the greatest forces of destruction could change, and even the most powerful weapon could be used for good. As the last of the alien ships fell, the dragon stood tall, its massive form casting a shadow over the battlefield. The Earth was quiet once more. The dragon had won, and Earth had been saved. The battle had ended. The alien fleet, once so powerful, had been defeated. Earth had survived, and humanity stood in awe as the dragon, the creature sent to destroy them, now stood as their protector. The sky was clear once more, and the earth seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. The dragon, covered in the marks of battle, stood tall in the middle of its garden. Its wings folded like a giant canopy protecting the land. Liam stood in the distance, watching the dragon. It was no longer the terrifying machine that had first arrived. It had become something else, something more. It had become a guardian, a symbol of peace, of life, of hope. And in that moment, Liam realized that the dragon had not only saved, Earth Hit had given humanity a chance to rebuild. To heal, Dr. Emma Collins stood beside him, her eyes filled with both wonder and concern. "We've won," she said softly, her voice full of relief. "But now we have to figure out what happens next." Liam nodded. "What do we do with the dragon?" "It's not just a weapon anymore," Dr. Collins said. "It's more than that. It's become a part of Earth, and now we have to find a way to live with it." As the world began to recover from the alien attack, the dragon continued to work. It did not retreat to a hidden corner of the planet. Instead, it remained where it had always been, in the heart of the garden it had created. The dragon's massive form now blended seamlessly with the earth, its body a part of the landscape it had helped to shape. But the world was changing, and so was humanity. The dragon had shown them that destruction was not the only way to solve problems. It had shown them that even the most powerful forces could be transformed, could become something good. Liam, Dr. Collins, and Lieutenant Jacob Reese were among the first to speak with world leaders about what had happened. They explained the dragon's role in the battle and its newfound purpose. Some leaders were still wary of the dragon, afraid of what it might become, but others, especially those who had seen the gardens it had grown, began to understand. Maybe it's not a weapon, Liam said during a meeting with the world's leaders. Maybe it's a tool for rebuilding. We can use it to heal the planet, to bring back the life we lost. Dr. Collins added, the dragon's bond with Earth is stronger than anything we could have imagined. It's not here to destroy, it's here to protect. We need to work with it, not against it. It wasn't an easy decision. Some people still feared the dragon, seeing it as a reminder of the alien attack. But more and more humanity began to see the truth. The dragon wasn't just a machine, it was a force of nature. It had the power to change the world. The governments of the world came together to create a new plan. They would work with the dragon, using its ability to heal the land and protect the environment. They would use the dragon's strength to restore the planet, to grow forests and deserts, to turn barren lands into fertile soil, to fight against climate change and pollution. The dragon, once sent to destroy, had become the key to Earth's survival. As the world began to heal, so did the relationships between nations. For the first time in history, countries put aside their differences, united by the dragon's example. The threat of the alien empire had brought them together, but the dragon's actions had shown them a new way forward, a way of cooperation, of peace, and of growth. Liam and Dr. Collins continued their work with the dragon, studying its abilities and learning from it. They found that the more they understood the dragon, the more they realized how much they had to learn about the planet itself. The dragon had opened their eyes to the wonders of nature, to the power of life, and to the importance of balance. The dragon's garden spread across the earth, bringing new life to every corner of the world. The trees it planted grew tall, their roots deep in the earth, and their branches reaching high into the sky. Flowers bloomed where there had once been dust, and rivers flowed through dry lands, bringing water to places that had known only drought. But even as the world healed, the questions still lingered. What would happen when the dragon was no longer needed? Would it return to its role as a weapon, or had it truly changed? Would humanity be able to protect the dragon as it had protected them? Liam stood at the edge of one of the dragon's gardens, watching the sun set behind the mountains. The dragon stood nearby, its glowing eyes scanning the horizon. It had become more than just a guardian. It had become a part of the earth itself. And as the years passed, Liam began to realize that the dragon's transformation wasn't just about saving the planet, it was about saving humanity. "We have to keep going," Liam said, his voice filled with determination. "We have to keep working together, just like the dragon showed us." Dr. Collins smiled, her eyes reflecting the hope that had been born from the dragon's actions. "Yes," she agreed. "Together we can rebuild. Together we can create a future where we all work in harmony with the planet." The dragon, standing beside them, seemed to nod, its eyes glowing softly in the fading light. It had shown humanity the way forward, and now it was up to them to follow that path. The battle for Earth had been won, but the true challenge had only just begun: to live in peace, to care for the planet, and to protect the future they had all fought for. And as the last light of the sun dipped below the horizon, the dragon continued to watch over the earth, its wings spread wide, ready to face whatever came next.